All right, we're here with a VermiHut and all the things that come with it. So my friend Jeff here and I are going to put it back together for you and show you how to start your VermiHut. Now, Jeff was actually the very first person on our block to get a VermiHut, and he got it in the middle of the summer, and he gave me the confidence to know that we could run a worm bin in Florida in the summer. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the stuff you get. This right here is the V board, and this is the basin, and this is used to try and keep the worms out of here. Does it do a good job? I don't know, 75% of the time, but they do get down in there.
They do.
The next is the tray. Depending on the version you get, you'll have 5 or 3 trays, and that is actually going to go right on top of there. And then some of the items you get are like a little cup here that would go in a spigot here. And these things can go in the legs, and they're to prevent ants. I'm just showing you that what comes with it, and then I'll tell you what I actually use. This is a really psychedelic cool spatula, and then you get the rake for there, but I just use a hand and glove. Now this thing is a holdover. You'll see it in there, not know what it is, but that's what they used to have before they had the V board. You would just stretch that over it. So let's go ahead and get set up and actually start this bin.
It looks like a lot of stuff, but it kind of compacts once you put it all together.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then one thing I want to talk about is the lid. It's kind of a unique lid. It has a lot of holes in the sides here, and that's so they can get air. And it will come with a mat of cocoa coir that you're just going to put inside your lid like that. And then with this little knobby thing right here, you're going to put that down. And what that does is it creates a lot of airflow for the worms so that they can breathe. They breathe through their skin, and it has to be moist. So there you go. That's the lid all put together, and that's how you put it together. Now, the worms get inside the lid. The worms get inside the basin, but I will teach you a couple things to help reduce that. So when you start your worm journey, the first thing you want to do is you want to order your bin or set up whatever bin you're going to have. And then and only then do you want to order the worms. If you get your worms before you get your bin, you could be transferring worms a couple times, and you don't want to disturb them like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a basin, and we're going to take our bedding. Now with your VermiHut, it'll come with a brick of cocoa coir. So go ahead and follow the directions there. You're basically going to hydrate the cocoa coir and use that for the bedding. But we are going to use some shredded cardboard right there. Now what we do is we just take some rainwater and we'll pour it in like that. You can just use tap water, that's fine too. And then we're just going to dump a bunch of this cardboard in there. Now the reason we're doing this is because the worms need to be in a moist environment. I've heard something around 75% moisture is what you're looking for. But what we'll do is we'll soak this in, and we will squeeze it to make sure that it just has 1 or 2 drips when we squeeze it. And then we're going to take all of it and we're going to put it right into the tray.
The reason we're doing this on my truck is this is how I used to do it, because once you make a mess on the truck, you just hose it down or sweep it off, and then you're done.
It's always good to have a neighbor that has a truck.
Absolutely. So they don't prefer rainwater, just for being a conservationist. Is that true?
No, I mean, some people think that tap water might have chemicals or that kind of thing, so
Okay.
rainwater is more pure. But in the grand scheme of things, if all you have is tap water, go for it.
Okay.
All right, so now we've got our tray right there. We've got our basin and our V board or worm barrier. So you're just setting them on there like that. And then we're just going to take this and kind of squeeze it till you only have a few drops coming out.
I'm an excellent squeezer if you want
All
to.
right, there you go. All right, and then we're just gonna spread it inside there. All right, so there we go. We've got a lot of bedding in here. And if you feel like it's too moist, then you can add a little bit more of some of the dry bedding. But in general, we'll see if this is about a couple drips. Yeah, that's probably good right there. We had a few drips. So we've filled it up about halfway, which is probably good. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna set up a little bit of a feeding zone right here, and I will show you how much food to feed if you have somewhere around 1,000 to 1,500 worms. I think what we have here is about 1,500 worms. So what we did was we took some worms out of my outdoor bin, and I've got 2 other bins. So if you're looking to continue your worm farming and seeing how it goes after you set up your bin, go ahead and look at those videos. But right in here is 1,500 worms. So believe it or not, this is all that we're going to feed the worms. It is very important when you first introduce your worms to your bin that you do not overfeed them. So for 1,500 worms, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 8 to 10 strawberry tops right there. That's all you're going to do. Now, I love using strawberry tops because they will get to the fleshy part super quick and eat that, and they'll leave the green leafy part. So when you come in here in about 7 days, you'll be able to see exactly where the strawberries were, and you'll be able to tell how much they ate. And based on that, you can give them more for next feeding. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of used coffee grounds in there, and this is just another food source for them, and it's just going to be a light sprinkling, very light. And then finally, we're going to take some of our pulverized eggshells and we're going to add that too as grit. Worms have gizzards, kind of like birds, and they use it to grind up their food, and it aids in their digestion. So that's it. That's the extent of the very first feeding they're going to get. And these worms are fresh out of a bin. They've traveled, your worms have maybe even traveled through the air to come to you in the mail. So we don't really want to overfeed them. That's the number one problem with worm bins, is overfeeding and having way too much moisture. Having bedding that is too dry can also be an issue, but in general, overfeeding and too much moisture are the issues. So let's go ahead and bury this up, and we'll get the food underneath. And you want to do that so that you don't attract any kind of critters. Now in this bin that has a lid, that's not going to be an issue, but we're going to go ahead and release the worms. And something that I want to let you know, although this bin comes with a lid, for the first 48 hours, it is very important that you do not put the lid on and that you keep this in a lighted room or in your lighted garage, that kind of thing. That way the worms can settle down in here and not try to escape. They are very discombobulated right now, and no matter what, they're going to try and explore their surroundings. So you want them to stay in the bin, and the best way to do that is have light on them, and do that for about 48 hours, and then you can put the lid on. So let's go ahead and do it. Here we go.
Release the worms. Well done. Holy God. It's vermicelli.
Oh my gosh.
Patrick, I've never seen anything like that. I'm not joking. Mine never looked like that. Mine were like distant cousins. These people all know each other at the same wedding. This is a different experience. I swear to you, I've never had this. I've never seen a mass of worms like that.
Yeah.
And mine, whatever you're doing it right, because oh my goodness.
Yeah. They're all red wigglers, and they're a little bit skinnier than when we pulled them out of the bin, and that's because they probably shedded a lot of the food that they had in their bellies, and they are, like I said, a little discombobulated. All right, so it looks like most of them gone all the way down. I'm just going to add a little bit more bedding to the top. Again, just some shredded cardboard. And I've got links in the description if you want to see all the different equipment that we've been using, check out prices, that kind of thing. But yeah, this is just shredded cardboard boxes that we've put through our 12-sheet cross-cut shredder, micro shredder. So let me add a little bit more. There we go. So like I said, we're going to leave this open just like this for 48 hours in your garage. And then after that, you're going to take the lid that you built, and we're just going to put it on just like that. So there you go. We have just created a VermiHut worm tower with 1,500 worms, and you are back in action.
We are back in the saddle again.
So I hope you all are having a great day. I hope your worm bins are going well, and happy vermicomposting, everybody. Take care now.